All. Welcome to today's Advanced Computer Business Applications course. This is Bachelor's in Business Administration, BBA first year course. And in the recent weeks, we have been discussing how to solve various business problems using Excel and Visual Basic as a code environment. Now, today we want to change things a little bit. We try to design and implement a very small, simple game called Tic Tac Toe using Excel. The Chinese name for Tic Tac Toe is here. So the fundamental difference between Excel and Word, just a quick revision. Here, in this case, as we know that Word can help us achieve input, formatting, and output. We format text. However, Excel can help us achieve input, process, and output. This process can be a business process or accounting or a financial process. The implementation for this process can be achieved in two ways. One is either using the Excel formula, inbuilt formula, or Visual Basic code. So we look at the Visual Basic code aspect to discuss and define the game today. So for people who are not familiar with the tic-tac-toe game, the tic-tac-toe game only has two actors, attacker and defender. So attacker is represented by the character X and defender is represented by the number 0. Okay. So the game scope or the game is played in a 3x3 grid. Okay. Something like this. And then the idea of winning or losing a game in tic-tac-toe is achieving a vertical or a diagonal match for either the attacker or the defender. So something like this or something like this to win. Okay. And then once you win a game, you either keep track or you restart the game, right? So that's the basic game description. So now let's look at the design. Okay. First is the IPO, input, process, and output for the gaming problem. Okay. So the input varies. Again, there are two actors. So it can be the attack or the defend, that is the input in this case. And the process is changing the value in the cell. As we discuss in Excel, we can define the grids for the game as cells. So the idea here is to change the value. Let's say this area is being attacked. So something like this, changing the value here. And the output is declaring a win or tracking the score. Now we convert this IPO into a little more detail using a block diagram, very simple level 1 block diagram. So we have the attack or defend, one block, changing the cell value that we need to achieve, and then changing the score, okay? And then score count. These are the blocks, the essential building blocks for this game in terms of design. We look at a very simple flow chart, okay, to kind of think more systematic towards solving this problem or towards coding this simple game. First, because whenever we use a macro in Excel, which is a platform to write the Visual Basic code, we need to define it as .xlsm, as we learned in the previous class, right? So we create a file called tictactoe.xlsm. That will be our area where we will play this game, or that will be the area where we will solve this game problem. And then the input is selecting the cell and then either attacking or defending depending on the player. It's a 2-player game. And now this process is a little iterative. So this process of attacking or defending the selected cell keeps repeating itself till the time either an attacker declares a win or the defender declares a win. And the last process is tracking the score to play this game multiple times, right? And once we restart, we reset everything and go back to the original value. So the same thing is written here in terms of step 1, 2, 3 in the pseudocode format, okay? Just a little more detail. So we first create a visual prototype. So we define two buttons, one for attack and one for defend. Because I'm going to use my Microsoft Surface tablet, I want to create bigger buttons so I can use the touch interface. But if you want to create a mobile phone prototype, you probably need to define the user interface to the portrait mode instead of the landscape mode here, right? And then I declare 2 more buttons to declare the win, and then to restart the game here. And this is my playing area. And then here I keep track of the scores, okay? Okay, so let us quickly look at the Excel sheet for the demonstration of this game. So this is the Excel sheet, and first I select the cell, and then let's say I attack the cell, okay? So if you see here, I change the color of the cell, and I also change the value inside the cell, right? Second, we defend the other cell, right? And then third, again, we attack, and then fourth, we keep defending, attack again. So now this is a win, okay? So what happens is X declares a win, attacker wins. So if you see the score count, attacker has a win, right? Now, the same can keep going on iteratively again. Here, if you see the whole cells are reset, and the drawing pencil I can reset later. So let's go back to the discussion. Okay, so if you look at the demonstration sheet here, we just have a look at the functions of all the buttons and the very simple game. And we play 1 level for this game. And then let's look at the code for this buttons, right? Probably we just look at the code in real time in the Excel sheet itself. As you know, to look at the code, we go to the developers option and we click on the view code, okay? There are very simple parts. First is the attack part. Writing the code in a very proper design really helps us review the code much better, okay? So then there's the defend module, okay? First, let's just place the code side by side. And then there's the restart module. Okay. And then this is the X declaring victory. And very similarly, this is Y declaring the victory. Okay, so if we look at the code here, the first button that we have is the attack button here, this one. So the code for this button is very, very straightforward. It says the cell that is selected, we choose the cell that's selected, and then we in that cell write the value of X. R1, C1 is the selection cell. That is, in our case, let's say this cell, then the value of this is H6. So H6 becomes our R1, C1, and the value of X is added to this. Because I want to make it more visual, what I do is I change the color index to 4. 4 in this case, as we can see here, is green. So, and with the bold nature of the text. So if you look at the defend, which is this button here, right? The code for this button has, again, the same process, except for instead of writing X, I write the value of 0, okay? So here, let's say when I press this, the value is red because the color code is different. Now let's look at X declaring a win. What happens when X declares a win is, if you see the value at G3, we catch this value in a variable. G3 is this cell, G3, okay? So we catch this variable value in the current value in this cell in the variable X. And once we catch the value, what we do is we increment the X with a value of 1. And then we assign this value to G3 again. And we use a message box to say attacker wins, right? In case the defense wins or the 0 wins, right? What happens is the similar code. What we need to do is I3, this cell here, we need to catch the value of I3, and then we add 1 to the value of I3, and then we declare defender wins through a message box, okay? The last little part of code that we need to understand is the restart game button, right? The code for the restart game button is very straightforward. First, we take an input from the user using an input box saying, do you want to reset the score that is stored in G3 and I3, okay? So if the value to this answer is yes, right? What we need to do is, if it's yes, we need to reset the score to 0. So the value at G3 is reset to 0 and I3 is reset to 0, okay? In case the value is no, the answer is no to reset, we don't do any process further. We just end the block, okay? So one line of code that will execute no matter what option is selected is selecting the range from G5 to I7. The range from G5 to I7 is this here. G5 starts here. Oh, excuse me. G5, I7. Okay. This whole playing area. And then we reset the value to null, which means we clear all the value. And then here again, the second thing is we change the color index to 2, which means we reset the color to white again. Okay. Okay, this is the code block for this. And in this PowerPoint file, what we do is we again discuss the same code level, but it's more easier to understand when it's in the Excel. We can look at the button and then the code behind the button, right?
Okay. I need to delete. Okay. And okay. Okay.
You need to press it actually.
What? Let's do
Teacher, why would you do that?
What?
You could have just. You could have just.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Nobody wins. Restart the game.
Nobody wins.
Two extensions I will discuss for the Tic Tac Toe game in the next class is declaring automatic win, which means I want to write a if-else function or a switch case function that can automatically detect a vertical or a horizontal and then automatically declare the win without us selecting the win. So what we want to achieve is to remove these two buttons and make it more simple. Once a diagonal or a vertical success is achieved by either actors, the score is automatically incremented and the win is automatically declared. That's the first part. And in the later class, I will also, because now this game requires 2 players, right? Attacker and defender. I want to try to automate the second player in the next class, or the class after we discuss the automatic declaration of the win, okay? So what we will try to do is we will just make this a 1-player game wherein the attacker is the human and the system plays for the defender. This is going to be a little more complex in terms of Visual Basic code, but that's okay. The idea is to just have a look at how to achieve 2 more levels of design refinement. That's the whole idea here. Other than this, we will also be discussing business problems. Like next class, we will also define and discuss another problem called renting a house versus buying a house in Shanghai. Okay, so this problem, we take some variables and we take some factors and we try to automatically come up with a suggestion for the user onto what part is better. Is renting better or buying a house better in Shanghai? And then we try to automate some functions wherein, depending on the change in these factors, the system will automatically in a different time say, oh, okay, till now renting was better, but probably right now, depending on the changed conditions, buying is better. We try to add this very small level of intelligence in the VB code, so it can automatically update some factors and discuss these factors or change the results. Okay, so that will be the next class. Feel free to contact me in my email in case you have a problem, or feel free to contact our assistants in case there's a problem that you need to discuss. And also make sure you follow the school's epidemic prevention